Dr. Tawan Kim rubbed his tired eyes. The clock on the wall showed it was almost the end of his 30-hour shift at the Frontier Medical Outpost on Epsilon 9. Rain pounded on the metal roof of the small station. Thunder boomed outside. Just one more hour, he muttered to himself. One more hour until he could sleep. The outpost was the only medical facility for 3 light years in any direction. Located on the edge of human space, it served anyone who needed help: human miners, traders from 10 different alien species, and colonists trying to build new lives on harsh planets. Taiwan finished typing his report on the broken arm he had just fixed for a human miner. The station was quiet now. His assistant Du Hyun had gone to get food. Administrator Juri was sleeping after her own long shift. A sharp beeping noise made Taiwan jump. It was the door alarm. Someone, or something, was outside in the storm. With a groan, Taiwan stood up. Who would be out in this weather? He wondered aloud. He walked to the entrance and pressed the button to open the door. Rain blew in, soaking the front of his white medical uniform. At first, he saw nothing. Then he looked down. There, on the wet ground, lay a large animal. It looked like a leopard from old Earth pictures, but with important differences. This creature had 6 legs instead of 4. Its spotted fur shimmered with colors that changed as it breathed weakly. It was as big as a large Earth dog. What in the stars? Taiwan whispered. The creature did not move. Taiwan knelt beside it, his medical training taking over. He checked for breathing. It was alive, but barely. Around its neck was a metal collar with glowing letters. The name Sorak floated above the collar in holographic script. Beside the animal was a small metal disc. Taiwan picked it up. It projected a message in broken galactic standard. Too old. Useless no. Dispose. Taiwan felt anger rise in his chest. Someone had abandoned this creature to die alone in the storm. Left it at a medical station like trash. He knew the rules. The outpost was only funded to treat sentient beings with official documentation. Wild animals and pets without payment authorization were not their problem. Administrator Juri would remind him that they barely had enough medicine for paying patients. Another flash of lightning lit up the sky. The creature, Sorak, made a small noise of pain. Taiwan made his decision. Rules be damned, he said, and carefully slid his arms under the alien beast. It was surprisingly light for its size. Taiwan carried it inside and kicked the door shut behind him. He took the creature to exam room 3, the smallest room, but the one with the most advanced scanner. He placed Sorak gently on the examination table. The creature's breathing was shallow and ragged. Up close, Taiwan could see that its fur was matted and dull in places. Its 6 limbs were thin, showing signs of muscle loss. One of its ears was torn. Taiwan switched on the medical scanner and passed it slowly over the alien body. The results made him frown deeply. Multiple organ failure, severe malnutrition, signs of old injuries that had healed poorly, internal parasites, and something else, unusual brain activity that the scanner couldn't quite identify. Who did this to you? Taiwan asked softly. The creature's eyes remained closed, but one of its 6 paws twitched slightly. Taiwan reached for his medical kit. He knew he would be in trouble when Administrator Juri found out. He would probably have to pay for the medicine himself, but he couldn't let this creature die without trying to help. As a human doctor on the frontier of space, Taiwan had sworn to preserve life. He didn't remember any part of his oath that said only if they can pay or only if they walk on 2 legs. Don't worry, Sorak, he said as he prepared a nutrient solution. I'm going to help you. Outside, the storm grew stronger. Inside, one tired human doctor began to fight for the life of a creature that everyone else had decided was worthless. Neither of them knew that this moment would soon change the future of 2 species forever. Taiwan worked through the night. He gave Sorak fluids and medicine to fight infection. He cleaned the alien's matted fur and treated old wounds. The storm outside finally stopped as morning came to Epsilon 9. The door to exam room 3 slid open. Administrator Jewry Park stood there, her face hard with anger. "What is that?" she asked, pointing at Sorek. Taiwan straightened his back. "A patient." "That is not a patient. That is an alien animal." Jewry stepped into the room. Her black uniform was perfectly clean, unlike Taiwan's stained white medical coat. "You know the rules. No treatment for non-sentient alien fauna without payment." "Someone left him to die at our door," Taiwan said. Jewry picked up the metal disc with the message. She read it and shook her head. "Someone didn't want to pay for pet care anymore. That's not our problem." She looked at the medical supplies Taiwan had used. "Those medicines cost money, doctor. Money we don't have. This station is already in debt." "I'll pay for them myself," Taiwan said. "That's not the point." Jewry rubbed her forehead. "We have 20 human miners coming in today after an accident in the North Sector. We need these beds and supplies for them." Taiwan pointed to the medical scanner. "Look at these readings. The brain activity is unusual. It's an alien animal. Of course its brain is different." "No, I mean the patterns. They're complex, like a thinking being." Jewry laughed without humor. "Now you think this pet is sentient. Next you'll say it can talk." As if hearing her words, Sorek's eyes opened slightly. They were deep amber with vertical pupils. The creature looked directly at Jewry for a moment, then at Taiwan. Then the eyes closed again. "Did you see that?" Taiwan asked. There was awareness there. "I saw an animal waking up from sedation." Jewry sighed. "You have 24 hours, Taiwan. Use your personal supplies and your off-duty time. After that, if this creature can't leave on its own, we will have to put it down. I'm sorry, but those are the rules." She turned to leave but stopped at the door. "The miners will be here in 4 hours. Be ready for them." Then she was gone. Taiwan sat down heavily in the chair beside the exam table. He was exhausted. He should sleep before the miners arrived, but he couldn't leave Sorek alone. The door opened again. Medical technician Du Hyun Lee entered carrying 2 cups of hot liquid. "I heard the administrator yelling," Du Hyun said. He handed 1 cup to Taiwan. "I brought you coffee." "Thanks." Taiwan took a long drink. The bitter liquid helped clear his tired mind. Du Hyun studied the alien creature. "So this is what all the fuss is about. Interesting-looking animal." "I don't think it's just an animal," Taiwan said. He showed Du Hyun the brain scans. Du Hyun's eyes widened. "These patterns, they look like sentient species patterns, right?" "Yes." Du Hyun moved closer to Sorek. "But everyone knows there are no sentient feline-type aliens in this sector." "Maybe everyone is wrong," Taiwan said. Du Hyun checked the medical readings. "The creature is stabilizing, but those internal organs are still failing. It would take a miracle to save it completely." "Then we'll make a miracle," Taiwan said. "I need your help. Jewry gave me 24 hours. If we can prove this being is sentient, she can't put it down." "You want to break the rules?" Du Hyun asked nervously. "I want to follow a more important rule. All life deserves care." Du Hyun was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. "What do you need me to do?" "First, we need to understand its biology better. If we can improve these scans." Suddenly, Taiwan dropped the scanner. It fell toward the floor, but before it could hit, one of Sorek's paws moved with surprising speed. The alien caught the scanner and held it out to Taiwan. Both men stared in shock. "Did you see that?" Du Hyun whispered. Taiwan slowly took the scanner. "An animal doesn't catch things and return them. Only thinking beings do that." Sorek's eyes opened again. This time, they stayed open. The alien creature looked from one human to the other, and Taiwan was certain he saw intelligence there. "We have 24 hours, Taiwan said. "Let's not waste a minute." The morning came to Epsilon 9. Taiwan had not slept. His eyes were red, but his hands were steady as he worked on the translator device. Do-hyun had found old parts from broken medical equipment. Together, they tried to fix the implant they had found in Sorek's brain. "This technology is amazing," Do-hyun said as he handed Ta-won a tiny silver tool. "I've never seen anything like it." "Because it's not supposed to exist," Ta-won replied. "This kind of neural tech is at least 100 years ahead of anything humans or the Alliance has." Sorek lay on the exam table, no longer in critical condition. The medicine had helped. His breathing was stronger, and his vital signs were more stable. But his organs were still failing slowly. Ta-won had bought time, not a cure. "There," Ta-won said as he made one final adjustment to the small device. "I think the translator might work now. The power source was damaged, but I connected it to our medical systems." He placed the device near Sorek's head. A small light on it began to blink. "Sorek," Ta-won said gently. "Can you hear me?" The alien's eyes opened. Those amber eyes looked directly at Ta-won. "If you understand me, please blink twice," Ta-won said. Sorek blinked. Once. Twice. Do-hyun gasped. It worked. Ta-won leaned closer. "My name is Dr. Ta-won Kim. I am a human medic. You are in a medical facility on Epsilon 9. You were left outside our door, injured and sick." Sorek's mouth opened slightly. A strange sound came out, like soft bells mixed with a deep purr. The translator device hummed. Then, to the amazement of both humans, words formed in the air above the device. They flickered, sometimes breaking up, but they were clear enough to read. "I thank you, human doctor." Ta-won's heart raced. "You can understand us." "Yes." Translator. "Damaged, but functional." Do-hyun moved closer. "What are you? Where do you come from?" The alien's 6 limbs shifted slightly, as if trying to make a gesture. "I am Myoran, scientist." Ta-won and Do-hyun looked at each other in shock. The Myorans were legends, an ancient species of brilliant bioengineers who had disappeared from galactic society hundreds of years ago. Most people thought they were extinct. "Impossible," Do-hyun whispered. "The Myorans are gone." "Not gone," Sorek replied through the translator. "Hidden. For safety." Ta-won had 1,000 questions, but he saw that Sorek was getting tired. "Save your strength. We can talk more after you rest." But Sorek continued. "Must tell. Taken by Draxian. Collector. Kept as property." "Someone kept you as a pet?" Ta-won asked, horrified. "Not pet. Slave. Made to work. Create bioweapons." The translator flickered as Sorek's voice grew weaker. "Too old. Now. Discarded. When. No longer. Useful." Ta-won felt cold anger. A sentient being, a scientist, treated like a lab animal and then thrown away. "How long?" he asked. "How long were you held captive?" 43 standard years. Do-hyun shook his head in disbelief. "That's impossible. Someone would have known. The Galactic Council has laws against slavery. Draxians, powerful. Claim. Myorans, just animals." Sorek's eyes began to close again. "My owner. High. Government. Official." The translator went silent as Sorek drifted back to sleep. The effort of communication had drained his remaining energy. Ta-won checked the medical readouts. "His condition is declining again. We need to improve the treatment plan now that we know his species." "This changes everything," Do-hyun said. "If he really is a Myoran, if what he says is true, then we've stumbled into something much bigger than helping an abandoned pet," Ta-won finished. "And much more dangerous." The station's comm system suddenly buzzed. Administrator Jury's voice came through. "Dr. Kim, report to the main office immediately. We have a situation. A Draxian diplomatic vessel has just entered orbit. They're demanding the return of stolen property. Tai-1 and Do-hyun looked at each other, then at the sleeping Sorek. They've come for him, Tai-1 said quietly. Tai-1 hurried to the administrator's office. His heart beat fast as he walked through the station's narrow hallways. He had asked Do-hyun to stay with Sorek and hide the translator device. The door to the main office slid open. Administrator Juri stood beside a tall man in a black uniform with silver stars on the shoulders. Tai-1 recognized Captain Hyun-woo Kang, the head of station security. "Dr. Kim," Juri said, her voice tight, "we have a problem." Captain Kang nodded at Tai-1. "A Drexian diplomatic vessel entered our space an hour ago. They are demanding we return what they call stolen property." "What stolen property?" Tai-1 asked, trying to sound confused. Juri touched a button on her desk. A screen lit up, showing the face of a Draxian. Draxians looked like tall, thin humans, but with gray skin and no hair. This one wore expensive clothes with many decorations. "I am Special Envoy Morax," the Draxian said. "One of my exotic animals escaped during transport. It is a dangerous creature carrying deadly diseases. It must be returned immediately." "We haven't seen any exotic animals," Juri replied. The Draxian's face hardened. "Our tracking systems show it is on your station. Return it at once, or face serious consequences. This creature is worth more than your entire medical facility." The screen went dark. Juri looked at Tai-1 with narrow eyes. "That six-legged creature you found. That's what they want, isn't it?" Tai-1 took a deep breath. "Administrator, that creature is not an animal. It's a sentient being, a Mioran scientist who was kept as a slave." Captain Kang laughed. "Miorans? They're just old stories." "It's true," Tai-1 insisted. "We repaired his translator. He can communicate." Juri sat down heavily in her chair. "Do you understand what you're saying? If what you claim is true, this is a diplomatic disaster." "The Draxians are one of the most powerful species in the sector," Captain Kang added. "They control trade routes we depend on. They could cut off supplies to all human colonies in this area." "But slavery is illegal under Galactic Council law," Tai-1 argued. "Only if the being is recognized as sentient," Juri said. "Draxians have claimed for years that Miorans are just intelligent animals." Tai-1's comm device beeped. It was Do-hyun. "Doctor, you need to come back quickly. Sorek's condition is getting worse." "I have to go," Tai-1 said. "This isn't over," Juri warned. "The Draxians have given us 6 hours to hand over the animal before they take action." "And what action would that be?" Tai-1 asked. Captain Kang looked grim. "They threatened to stop all medical supply ships to human colonies. People will die without those supplies." Tai-1 felt the weight of that threat. Many innocent humans would suffer if the Draxians followed through. 6 hours, Juri repeated. "Find a solution by then, Doctor." Tai-1 rushed back to exam room 3. Do-hyun looked up as he entered. "His organs are failing faster now," Do-hyun said. "The translator helped him stay awake long enough to tell me something important." "What?" "The Draxian who owned him is not just anyone. He's a high-ranking official named Morax." "The special envoy," Tai-1 said, remembering the Draxian on the screen. "He's here himself. Sorek says Morax has been using Mioran scientists to develop biological weapons that could target specific species." Tai-1 looked at Sorek, who was breathing with difficulty now. "That's why he wants Sorek act so badly. Not just to hide the evidence of slavery, but to protect his weapons program." "Exactly," Do-hyun said. "And Sorek knows the cure for a mysterious plague that's spreading in the outer colonies. The same plague that Morax might have created." The station alarm suddenly blared. Captain Kang's voice came over the speakers. "All personnel, prepare for docking procedures. By order of Administrator Park, we will allow Draxian representatives to board the station in 1 hour to search for their missing property." Tai-1 looked at Do-hyun. "We don't have 6 hours anymore. We need to hide Sorek now." "Hide him where?" Du-hyun asked. They'll search every room. Tai-wan thought quickly. Not every room. Not the quarantine chamber. No one goes in there without special permission. But that's the first place they'll look for a supposedly diseased animal. Not if there's already a dangerous patient in there, Tai-wan said with a small smile. And I think it's time I came down with something very contagious. The quarantine chamber was small but secure. Its walls were made of special material that blocked most scans. Tai-wan had moved Sorek there, along with medical equipment to keep the alien alive. Tai-wan himself now sat beside Sorek's bed, wearing a patient gown. His plan was simple but risky. If anyone asked, he had been exposed to a rare virus while treating miners from the North Sector. Now both he and his animal specimen needed to stay in quarantine. Will it work? Du-hyun asked through the communication system. It has to, Tai-wan replied. At least long enough for us to think of something better. Inside the chamber, Sorek's eyes opened. The translator device flickered to life. Human, doctor, the words formed in the air. Your kindness is rare. Save your strength, Tai-wan said gently. We'll find a way to help you. Must tell you important information. Sorek's 6 limbs moved weakly as he tried to sit up. Tai-wan helped the alien into a more comfortable position. The Draxians are searching the station now, Tai-wan said. We don't have much time. Listen. Sorek's translator became clearer as Tai-wan adjusted it. The plague in the outer colonies, not natural. Morax created it. As a weapon? Tai-wan asked. Test for bigger weapon. Targeting only humans. Sorek's amber eyes looked directly at Tai-wan. I was forced to help develop it. Tai-wan felt cold fear. The disease that only killed humans would give the Draxians enormous power. But I changed formula. Sorek continued. Made current version. Treatable. The real weapon. Still not finished. You sabotaged their weapon. Yes. When Morax discovered, he was angry. That is why. Discarded me. Sorek's breathing became labored. But I know. Cure for current plague. And how to stop the real weapon. The quarantine room door indicator blinked. Someone was outside. Tai-wan quickly put on a medical mask and gloves. He motioned for Sorek to be silent. The door slid open. Administrator Juri stood there in a protective suit. Behind her were 2 Draxians in shiny gray uniforms. Dr. Kim, Juri said, her voice muffled by her mask. These officials insist on checking all rooms, including quarantine. One Draxian stepped forward. He was tall with cold eyes. We must ensure our property is not here. Tai-wan coughed loudly, making the Draxians step back. As you can see, Tai-wan said weakly, I'm in isolation with a possible contagious disease, and I'm studying tissue samples. He gestured to Sorek, who lay still with a sheet covering most of his body. Only part of his spotted fur was visible. What disease? The Draxian demanded. Trellian fever, Tai-wan lied. Highly contagious to most species, especially Draxians. The Draxians moved back further. They whispered to each other. We will check other areas first, the leader said, but we will return with scanning equipment. After they left, Juri stayed. She removed her mask when the door closed. Trellian fever doesn't affect Draxians, she said. They'll discover your lie soon. I just needed time, Tai-wan replied. Then, making a decision, he added, Administrator, what I told you is true. This is not an animal. He's a sentient being who was enslaved. Juri looked at Sorek. Prove it. Tai-wan activated the translator. Sorek, can you speak to the administrator? The words formed clearly. Greetings, Administrator. I am Sorek, Majoran biologist, enslaved by Draxian envoy Morax. Juri's eyes widened. She stared at the alien, then at the floating words, then back at Tai-wan. The Draxians will tear this station apart looking for him, she said quietly. He knows the cure for the plague affecting the outer colonies, Ta-One told her, and he can stop a biological weapon designed to kill only humans. Juri was silent for a long moment. Then she straightened her shoulders. That changes things. She looked at Sorak. How long can you keep him alive, Doctor? A few days at most. His organs are failing. Then we need to get him off this station before the Draxians find him. Juri's voice was firm now. And before he dies, taking that knowledge with him. How? Ta-One asked. They're watching all ships. Not all ships, Juri said. Not the medical waste transport. It leaves in 3 hours for the Central Human Research Facility. Hope rose in Ta-One's chest. Will you help us? I will, Juri said. For all the human lives at stake. She looked at Sorak, and because no sentient being should be treated as property. The next 2 hours moved quickly. Ta-One, Juri, and Do-Hyun worked together to save Sorak and his valuable knowledge. Their plan was dangerous but simple. The medical waste transport leaves in 1 hour, Juri said as she checked a small computer screen. It's not made for living passengers, but it should work. Do-Hyun brought a large metal container to the quarantine room. It was used to carry dangerous medical waste to disposal facilities. He had added air holes and padding inside. This will be your transport, Sorak, Do-Hyun explained to the alien. It won't be comfortable, but it should get you past the Draxians. Sorak's amber eyes blinked slowly. I understand. Small, discomfort, worth, freedom. Ta-One checked Sorak's medical readings. The alien was still dying, but more slowly now. The treatment was helping. Once you reach the Central Human Research Facility, they can help you better than we can, Ta-One said. They have more advanced medical equipment. And better security, Juri added. The Draxians won't be able to take you from there without starting a war. Ta-One prepared medicines for the journey. I'm giving you something for pain and to keep you stable during transport. It will be a 6-hour trip. The station alarm suddenly blared again. Captain Kang's voice came through the speaker system. Attention all personnel. Draxian officials have requested a full station lockdown. No one is to leave their current location until further notice. Juri's face turned pale. They suspect something. The waste transport, Ta-One asked. Still scheduled to leave. Automated systems, Juri replied. But now we can't move Sorak to the loading dock without being seen. Do-Hyun looked at the medical waste container. What if we don't need to move him? What if we have the waste collected from here? Ta-One understood immediately. Medical waste from quarantine gets special handling. They come to us. Juri nodded and went to the communication panel. She pressed several buttons. This is Administrator Park. Quarantine room has Class 3 waste ready for immediate collection. Send a transport droid. A voice answered. Transport droid dispatched. Arrival in 5 minutes. They worked quickly. Ta-One injected Sorak with medicines to help him sleep during the journey. Do-Hyun added portable oxygen and more padding to the container. This will help with your breathing, Ta-One explained as he placed a small device around Sorak's neck. And this will monitor your vital signs. Thank you, human friends, Sorak said weakly. If I survive, Majorans will know of your kindness. Juri looked at her computer tablet. The Draxians are gathering near the main docking bay. They're bringing in scanning equipment that can detect Neuron life signs through walls. How long do we have? Ta-One asked. 20 minutes, maybe less, she replied. The transport droid is here, Do-Hyun said, looking at a small screen by the door. They gently placed Sorak into the container. The alien looked small and fragile among the padding, his spotted fur dull and his 6 limbs weak. Safe journey, my friend, Ta-One said softly. They sealed the container and marked it for special handling. The quarantine room door opened, and a floating droid entered. It had mechanical arms and a simple computer brain. "Medical waste for transport," Juri said in a formal voice. The droid scanned the container. Container accepted. Destination: Central Human Research Facility. The droid picked up the container and floated toward the exit. Suddenly, the station speakers came alive with an angry voice. "This is Special Envoy Morax. Our scans have detected Murin life signs in the quarantine section. All transport from that area is to be stopped immediately." The droid paused, waiting for new instructions. Juri looked at Tadwan. Then she stepped forward and pressed her administrator override code into the droid's control panel. "Priority medical waste. Continue to transport ship immediately." The droid processed this command, then continued moving. It carried Sorek's container out the door and down the corridor. "Will it make it?" Do-hyun asked quietly. Before anyone could answer, the station shook with a loud bang. Emergency alarms began to sound. "What was that?" Ta-Wan asked. Juri checked her tablet, her face grim. "The Drexians have sealed all exits, and they're heading this way." The quarantine room door burst open. 3 Drexian guards rushed in with weapons pointed at the humans. Behind them walked Special Envoy Morax, his gray face tight with anger. "Where is my property?" Morax demanded. Taiwan stood straight, facing the Drexian. "There is no property here, only patience. Do not play games with me, human." Morax's voice was cold. "Our sensors detected a Murin life form in this room moments ago." Juri stepped forward. "As station administrator, I must inform you that you have no authority to enter a quarantine zone with weapons." "I have every authority," Morax shouted. He looked around the room. "The transport droid. Where did it go?" "Medical waste is sent for proper disposal," Do-hyun said calmly. "It's standard procedure." Morax turned to his guards. "Find that waste transport. Now." 2 guards ran from the room. Morax moved closer to Ta-Wan, his tall body looming over the human doctor. "You have made a very serious mistake," Morax said quietly. "Do you know who I am in the Draxian government?" "I know exactly who you are," Ta-Wan replied. "A slave owner who makes biological weapons." Morax's eyes widened slightly, then narrowed. "So the animal spoke to you. Interesting. Did it tell you fairy tales about being a scientist?" "He told us enough," Juri said, "about the plague in the outer colonies, about the weapon targeting humans." "Lies from a clever animal," Morax said with a wave of his hand. "Miorans are intelligent pets, nothing more." Taiwan touched a small device in his pocket. It was recording everything. "Is that why you use their intelligence to create weapons? Because they're just animals?" Morax smiled coldly. "Their brains are useful tools, and I have spent many years and much money developing my collection of tools." The station communication system suddenly came to life. Captain Kang's voice was urgent. "Administrator Park, the Draxian ship is charging weapons. They're targeting the medical waste transport." Juri moved to the communication panel. "This is Administrator Park. Connect me to all station channels and all nearby ships." "What are you doing?" Morax demanded. Juri ignored him. "This is Administrator Juri Park of Epsilon 9 Medical Outpost. A Draxian diplomatic vessel is about to attack an unarmed medical transport. This is a violation of Galactic Council laws. Any nearby ships, please respond." Morax lunged for the panel, but Taiwan stepped in his way. The Draxian guard raised his weapon. "Stop this transmission immediately," Morax ordered. But Juri continued, her voice steady and clear. "The Draxian vessel is attempting to destroy evidence of illegal slavery and biological weapons development. The medical transport contains a Murin scientist who can testify to these crimes." "This is madness," Morax hissed. "No one will believe you." Taiwan pulled out his recording device. "They will when they hear your own words." The communication panel beeped. A new voice came through, deep and official. "This is Captain Da Jung Song of the Human Defense Force Ship Guardian. We have received your distress call and are moving to protect the medical transport." Another voice joined in. "Trading Vessel Horizon acknowledges. We are diverting course to witness and record this incident." And another. "Mining Corporation Security responding. 4 ships changing course to your location." Morax's face changed as he realized what was happening. Human ships from all around the sector were responding. They were creating witnesses to crimes the Draxian government had hidden for decades. "You can't do this," Morax said, his confidence breaking. "The trade agreements, the medical supply routes, are not worth slavery and genocide," Taiwan said firmly. The station shook as the Draxian ship fired. But the weapons weren't aimed at the station or the medical transport. They were firing at the approaching ships. Captain Kang's voice returned. "Human Defense Force ships are engaging the Draxian vessel. More ships are arriving. The medical transport has been escorted to safety." Ju-Ray looked directly at Morax. "Special Envoy, by the authority granted to me as administrator of this Galactic Council-sanctioned medical facility, I am placing you under protection custody as a diplomatic representative involved in a serious incident." "Protection custody?" Morax asked suspiciously. "Yes," Ju-Ray said with a small smile. "For your own safety. The human crews of those ships might not be happy when they learn what you've been planning for their species." Do Hyun's communication device beeped. He looked at it, then grinned at Taiwan and Ju-Ray. "Message from the Human Defense Force ship," he said. "They've secured the medical transport. Sorek is safe and being treated by their doctors." Taiwan felt relief wash over him. They had done it. A single act of compassion had grown into something that might save countless lives. 1 month later, Taiwan stood in a large meeting room on Earth. The walls were made of real wood, not the metal of space stations. Through tall windows, he could see green trees and blue sky. After years in space, Earth felt strange to him. The room was filled with important people. Human diplomats in formal clothes, representatives from 15 alien species, members of the Galactic Council in their ceremonial robes. They had gathered for an emergency session about the Murin incident, as it was now called. Taiwan felt nervous in his new uniform. The Human Defense Force had given him a special medal for his actions. Beside him stood Administrator Ju-Ray and Technician Do Hyun, also wearing medals. "They're ready for him," a council aide said, opening a side door. Sorek entered the room. The Murin moved smoothly on his 6 limbs. His spotted fur now shone with health, changing colors slightly as he walked. He looked strong and dignified. The Human Defense Force doctors had worked miracles. They had repaired his failing organs and healed old injuries. Sorek was no longer dying. The room grew quiet as Sorek approached the center platform. His translator device, now fixed properly, floated beside him. "I thank the Council for this opportunity to speak," Sorek said, his words clear and strong through the translator. "For too long, my people have been hidden from galactic society. For too long, some of us have been treated as property." He told his story to the Council, how the Murans had withdrawn from galactic politics centuries ago because they feared their biological knowledge would be misused, how Draxian collectors had captured some Murans and kept them as exotic pets, how they were forced to use their scientific knowledge for weapons research. Special Envoy Morax was not alone. Sorek explained, "Many high-ranking Draxians have been part of this slavery program. They created the plague that has killed thousands in the outer colonies. It was a test for bigger weapons targeting specific species." The council members looked shocked. The Draxian representatives tried to protest, but their words died when Taiwan played the recording of Morax's confession. The head of the council, an ancient being with blue skin, spoke gravely. "This council will investigate these crimes fully. If proven true, there will be severe consequences for those involved." A human diplomat stood up. The Human Alliance submits a formal proposal to recognize Mjorans as a fully sentient species with all rights under galactic law. The vote was quick and unanimous. After centuries of being classified as intelligent animals, Mjorans were now officially recognized as equals. After the meeting, Taiwan found himself alone with Sorek in a quiet garden. "You will return to your people now?" Taiwan asked. "Yes," Sorek replied. "It is time for Mjorans to rejoin galactic society," but cautiously. "I understand," Taiwan said. "After what happened, trust will take time." Sorek's amber eyes studied Taiwan. "Before I leave, I wish to share something with you, something important about humans." "What is it?" "In all my years of study, I have found only 2 species with a specific neural pathway in their brains. My people and yours." "What neural pathway?" Taiwan asked. "The one that allows true empathy across species barriers," Sorek explained. "The ability to recognize sentience and feel compassion regardless of physical form." Taiwan thought about that first night when he had found Sorek abandoned in the rain. He had seen a living being in need, not just an alien animal. "Most species can feel empathy for their own kind," Sorek continued. "Some can extend it to similar species, but only humans and Mjorans can truly feel it for all forms of life." "Is that why you hid from other species?" Taiwan asked. "Partly," Sorek admitted. "We feared our knowledge in the hands of those who lacked this empathy. But now we have found allies who share our perspective." Sorek reached out one of his front paws. In it was a small data crystal. "This contains medical knowledge my people have developed over centuries, cures for diseases your doctors still fight. It is yours now, the first exchange between our species. Why give this to us?" Taiwan asked, carefully taking the crystal. "Because when one human doctor looked at a dying alien beast, he did not see property to be disposed of. He saw a life worth saving." Sorek's eyes seemed to smile. "That is worth more than all the trade agreements in the galaxy." Taiwan watched as Sorek left to meet the Mjoran ship that would take him home. He held the data crystal tightly, understanding that sometimes the greatest discoveries begin with the simplest acts of kindness. In the vastness of space, where countless species competed for power and resources, perhaps humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology or weapons. It was the ability to see beyond physical differences and recognize the worth in all forms of life. And sometimes that made all the difference in the universe.